They were once the dazzling stars of Hollywood's golden age, gracing the silver screen with unforgettable performances. But today, their names have faded into obscurity, buried beneath the glitz and glamour of the industry they once ruled. How did these brilliant actresses go from icons to completely forgotten? The truth behind their downfall is more shocking than you can imagine. Once hailed as one of the most promising actresses of the 1930s, and Dvorak had it all: talent, beauty, and a magnetic screen presence. She captivated audiences in films like Scarface, 1932, and 3 on a Match, 1932, proving she had the potential to be a Hollywood legend. But unlike many actresses of her time, and refused to be controlled by the studio system, she boldly fought for fair wages and creative freedom, a move that cost her dearly. Warner Brothers punished her by limiting her roles, effectively pushing her into cinematic oblivion. Frustrated and disillusioned, she walked away from stardom, choosing love and independence over Hollywood's ruthless game. Despite occasional comebacks, the industry had already moved on, and her name faded into history. Today, few remember the woman who could have been as big as Bette Davis or Katharine Hepburn. And Dvorak's story is a haunting reminder of how Hollywood discards even its brightest stars when they refuse to play by its rules. Ella Raines was the epitome of classic Hollywood beauty, with a sharp, mysterious allure that made her a standout in 1940s film noir. She dazzled audiences in Phantom Lady, 1944, and Impact, 1949, carving a niche as a femme fatale with depth and intelligence. Unlike many of her contemporaries, she wasn't just a pretty face. Her performances were layered, filled with tension and raw emotion. But despite her undeniable talent, Hollywood's love for her was fleeting. As the 1950s rolled in, the film industry shifted, and leading roles for Raines became scarce. The rise of television and changing audience tastes pushed her into the background. By the mid-1950s, she had quietly stepped away from acting, fading from public memory. While noir fans still celebrate her performances, mainstream audiences have largely forgotten her name. Once poised for superstardom, Ella Raines became another casualty of Hollywood's ruthless cycle, where even the brightest talents can disappear in the blink of an eye. Gail Russell had the kind of ethereal beauty that seemed almost unreal, haunting blue eyes, delicate features, and a quiet, mesmerizing presence. She captivated audiences in films like Angel and the Bad Man, 1947, and The Uninvited, 1944, proving she wasn't just a pretty face, but a true talent. Yet, behind the camera, she battled crippling shyness and overwhelming anxiety. Forced into the spotlight by Hollywood's relentless demands, she turned to alcohol to cope with the pressure. As her addiction worsened, studios lost faith in her, and her once promising career crumbled. Arrests, public scandals, and failed attempts at comebacks sealed her fate. By the time she was in her 30s, she was no longer the rising star Hollywood had once adored. In 1961, at just 36 years old, she was found dead in her apartment, alone, forgotten, and far from the glamorous life she had once lived. Gail Russell's story remains one of Hollywood's most heartbreaking cautionary tales, a reminder of how fame can destroy those it claims to love. With her striking elegance and commanding presence, Nina Foch was a Hollywood gem who never quite received the recognition she deserved. Known for her roles in An American in Paris, 1951, and Spartacus, 1960, she had a unique ability to blend sophistication with an air of mystery. Unlike many of her peers, she wasn't typecast as just a femme fatale or a damsel in distress. Her performances were intelligent, layered, and unforgettable. Yet, despite her undeniable talent, she was often relegated to supporting roles, never quite reaching the superstardom she was capable of. As Hollywood evolved, leading roles for her became even scarcer, and her presence on the big screen gradually faded. However, she refused to be forgotten entirely. Nina reinvented herself as a respected acting coach, shaping the next generation of Hollywood stars. While modern audiences may not instantly recognize her name, her influence lingers in the performances of those she mentored. Nina Foch may not have been Hollywood's biggest star, but she was one of its most enduring talents. Marsha Hunt was on the verge of becoming one of Hollywood's biggest leading ladies. With her grace, talent, and striking beauty, she delivered unforgettable performances in films like Pride and Prejudice 1940 and Raw Deal 1948. She had all the makings of a major star, but unlike many of her peers, she wasn't just focused on fame. She had a voice, and she wasn't afraid to use it. During the height of McCarthyism, Hunt's career took a devastating hit when she was blacklisted for allegedly having communist ties. In reality, her only crime was speaking out against injustice and advocating for free speech. Hollywood, however, turned its back on her, and the promising career she had built vanished almost overnight. While she continued to work sporadically, she never reclaimed her former status. Despite being erased from the industry, Marsha Hunt remained a fighter, dedicating her life to activism and humanitarian efforts. Though Hollywood forgot her, she never stopped making a difference. Her story is a reminder of how the industry silences those who dare to stand for something greater than fame. Andrea King had the poise and presence of a classic Hollywood icon. With her captivating beauty and effortless charm, she shined in films like The Beast with Five Fingers, 1946, and My Wild Irish Rose, 1947. Equally skilled in drama, romance, and suspense, she had all the makings of a major star. Yet, despite her undeniable talent, she never quite broke into Hollywood's elite circle. Unlike many actresses of her era, King was often typecast in supporting roles, preventing her from reaching the superstardom she deserved. While she worked steadily in film and later transitioned to television, she never got that one defining role that could have cemented her legacy. As the golden age faded, so did her presence on the big screen. Though modern audiences may not instantly recognize her name, Andrea King's contributions to Hollywood remain significant. She was a performer who could hold her own against the industry's biggest stars. Yet, for reasons beyond her control, she became another forgotten face in the ever-changing tide of show business. Lizabeth Scott was one of Hollywood's most alluring and talented stars during the 1940s and 1950s, known for her sultry voice and mysterious allure. With standout performances in films like The Strange Love of Martha Ivers, 1946, and Dead Reckoning, 1947, she became a quintessential figure in the film noir genre, often playing the femme fatale or the tough, independent woman. Her performances were filled with depth, capturing the complexities of her characters in ways that few actresses could. Despite her success, Lizabeth was often overshadowed by the likes of Lauren Bacall and Veronica Lake, two other major figures of the time. Hollywood's inability to fully embrace her unique style and persona meant she was continually pushed into a narrow typecast. Over time, as tastes shifted, her roles diminished and her career stalled. Though she retired from acting in the 1960s, Lizabeth Scott's contribution to the golden age of film noir remains significant. While forgotten by mainstream audiences, her films continue to be celebrated by noir aficionados who recognize her for the star she truly was, one who was much too talented to be left behind. Joan Greenwood was a mesmerizing talent who could captivate with just a whisper. Known for her distinctive, sultry voice and refined elegance, she became a standout in British cinema during the 1940s and 1950s. Her unforgettable performances in films like Kind Hearts and Coronets, 1949, and The Man in the White Suit, 1951, showcased her exceptional ability to balance wit, charm, and a touch of mystery. With a perfect blend of comedy and drama, Joan had the type of presence that left a lasting impression on audiences. Yet, despite her immense talent, she never achieved the international recognition she deserved. Perhaps it was the type of roles she was cast in, often as the sophisticated, slightly aloof woman, that prevented her from reaching the same heights as her contemporaries. As the years passed, Joan's career slowed, and she gradually faded from the limelight, remaining a beloved yet largely forgotten figure in the annals of film history. Joan Greenwood's contribution to cinema, however, is undeniable. Her voice alone continues to echo in the hearts of those who remember her, a reminder of a star who, though overlooked by many, was one of a kind.
If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and comment. Also, Consider subscribing and hitting the notification bell to be notified of our new videos each day. Thanks for watching.